Have you ever wanted to get started in real estate, but you just don't know how? You don't have the money, or your credit isn't good? Well, join the club. But with the Real Estate Power Play weekly show, myself and Vicki The Investor Washington are going to talk to you guys about not only how you can get started, but how you can buy real estate with little to no money and without using your own credit, using creative financing and subject to. So if you're watching, I want you to hit that like button. And if you feel like we bring you a little bit of value, I want you to consider hitting that subscribe button, or you can just be a player about it and subscribe. Let's go.
I'm a go-getter. They some go-getters. We some go-getters. Hope you a go-getter. Let's get it. I'm a go-getter. They some go-getters. We some go-getters. Hope you a go-getter. Let's get it. I'm a go-getter. Hustle to the end. We some no-quitters. Knock it out the park. We for show hitters. Right, left hemisphere. That's a dome splitter. Yeah. We control our own destiny. Make moves. Cultivate whole legacy. Creative finance. Bring more ecstasy. The right ingredients. Now that's a dope recipe.
Okay, Vicky, what's
Hey,
up? We're back
what's going
again.
on?
Just chilling, just chilling. Beautiful Real Estate Tuesday. So glad to
Yeah,
have you again.
glad to be here. Thank you.
Yes, yes. So we're back for the weekly Real Estate Power Play live YouTube, where you guys can ask us questions, get your questions answered. We're going to talk about various topics in the real estate world. I'm Gene Boykin Jr. I'm the founder of the Go Getter Family Real Estate Investing Academy, and I'll let Vicky introduce herself to y'all. Go ahead, Vicky.
Hey, y'all. I am Vicki The Investor on social media. So I've been in this game quite a while. Just want to make sure we get you guys started with investing in real estate. Hey, real estate is not only about property, but it's about people.
That's a good point. A good point. Now,
Yes.
what made you say that?
Well, just what I have been facing this week. People are facing challenges, right? So when we're doing this business, of course, profit matters, right? But we want to make sure that we're keeping people in mind. I'm not saying being a softy or anything of that nature, but keeping people in mind about how we're handling them, their mental state also. So you want to think about all of those different aspects when you're navigating this business, right? Yeah.
And I always tell people, we don't buy houses, we buy problems, right? And if we can solve that real estate problem, then we end up getting a house as a result of that. So
Word.
we've got to think about it, in those terms.
Mhm.
So now you're a specialist in dispositions, right? And selling those properties, but selling while you hold and holding while you sell. Can you break down what that means for the viewers that don't know?
So just purchasing a property, doing creative finance or however strategy that you may use, it's important for me anyway, for my business, I hold all my property, right? I don't like to just go in and resell it right away. It's a certain strategy. So I move someone into it because they necessarily can't get a bank loan or something of that nature. So that's another leg in my program where I'm able to help someone say, hey, you move into a home, and then I'm able to lease option it to you, same as rent to own to you, or owner financing, right? So I'm creating that opportunity for those end buyers. And I'm also gaining profit because you make your money when you buy, right? So I've gained my property and I've gained my extra money when I bought it because I bought it a certain way. And then I'm doing a rent to own when I'm dispositioning it out to someone else. So I'm doing a rent to own, putting them in position to be an owner, but I'm getting that longevity money. So different ways, depending on how your agreement is built out. And I know for us, our agreements are built out a certain way. So that creates that longevity of finances to come through over time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because if you're just doing fix and flips, that
Right.
means, yeah, you're doing a bunch of work, and then you're flipping that house, but you're only getting paid once,
Right.
and then you pretty much got to start over again from scratch to do the same thing, and that sounds kind of like a job to me.
Right.
So
That's the
yeah.
thing. You have to be creative about it. You don't want to. I like to receive those checks like monthly, right? So I have my timeline of of when rent is due. It's not the
Mhm.
standard date of how everybody else has it situated. So I want
Mhm.
to make sure that I'm creating that mailbox money for myself. And that,
Mhm.
real estate is just about continuing to build on your money that you're getting and building on those property and that property that you're getting. So those different properties. I don't want to be out there in the field all day flipping. Yeah, you flip a property here and there or whatever, but to do that all day, that's not something I intend on doing. So
Right, right. And having a dependable monthly income like clockwork is
absolutely.
that's how you live, and that's how you become financially free,
Right.
is having that monthly income rather than having to do a job from start to finish over and over again. And that's kind of what fixing and flipping is
Mhm.
essentially, so a lot of traditional real estate investors get in the game, and some of them don't know what cash flow is. Some of
Right.
them are negative cash flow, or their cash flow each month is minuscule. And for those that don't know what cash flow means, or cash flow is, that is merely the money that you make each month over and above all of your expenses for that property. So if you have a mortgage on it, or repairs, or other bills that you might have, whatever those monthly bills are, what are you making over and above that from your tenant or your tenant buyer? Why is it so hard for traditional real estate investors, you think, to get that monthly cash flow and kind of stay in the game essentially?
I think because even at this current state, interest rates are high, right?
Mm,
So because of the interest rates are high and you're paying that high mortgage, and then you have those repairs happening, right? So it breaks into your cash flow. I remember when I first started in this business, it was just great to get that $250, $300 threshold for your monthly cash flow after you've paid
mhm,
taxes, after you've done repairs and anything else that concerns their property, right? But
mhm,
these days, that threshold for me is way higher to know that I'm really
mhm,
making a profit from one property. And that's why it's important to know that one property can change your life. One property,
mhm,
right? It eliminates that one property can eliminate one or two bills. And that's what you have to
mhm,
look at it. Somebody is just giving you money, quote unquote, giving you, but giving you money monthly to support your bills. So you have to
mhm,
change your mind frame as far as with real estate and not look at it as a job, depending on how you're creating your flows. But that
mhm.
threshold was low for me. But now that those interest rates are in play, it's cut into a lot of investors' profit, right? So you
Yep.
don't want that to cut into your profit. So you have to be strategic, smart about how you buy. That's why creative financing is definitely a great way to go. Going through the
Mhm.
traditional financing, their interest rates are high. Yes, you can
Right.
buy something now and then later on, interest rate may go up, interest rate may go down. We don't know. But you don't want to
Mhm.
cut into your cash flow too much, right? You want to be smart
Right.
about it because is the property really worth it if you only bring it home $100 a month or $150 a month? If
Right.
something breaks that month, then your cash flow is gone for that entire year. So is it really
Yep.
worth it?
Exactly. Hot water heater goes out, furnace
Yep.
goes out, something like that. Your cash flow is gone or negative for the entire year. And on top of that, if that expense, if that eats up all of your cash flow for the year,
Mhm.
what if 3, 4 months down the road your tenant doesn't pay you rent? Well, now it's like a double negative, right? And
Absolutely.
so, yeah, so this is where the difference lies with creative financing versus traditional real estate. Because
Mhm.
with creative financing, you're figuring out ways on the acquisition end to leverage someone else's credit.
Mhm.
Usually buy these properties, like right now we're buying properties subject to, and the interest rate is super low on those properties because they were just low, right? And they just started going up. So we're getting the ones that are low, which allows us to get more cash flow. So these are things, that we want to think about. And one of my mentors says, hard work, it makes us a better person, but that's not the key to success. And to me, that's what flipping is. It's hard work because you got to start that job over once you complete a flip. You get paid once and then you got to start it all over. That's hard work. While it makes you a better person, that's not the key to success. The key to success is becoming better, right? Continually. And that's how I see creative financing, because you have all these different tools in your tool belt, to use in order to acquire a property and to help people get home ownership. So,
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Makes
mhm.
complete sense to me.
So I said earlier, you sell while you hold and you
Mhm.
hold while you sell. And to me, that means, well, I know what it means technically, right?
Right.
We're selling our properties on seller financing, owner financing, rent to own. So we are removing ourselves from being responsible for maintenance and repairs in a lot of cases.
Mhm.
Um, which makes the investment safer for us, and we're giving our buyer the option to buy later down the road, right? And these
Absolutely.
people, yeah, they usually wouldn't have an opportunity at home ownership because of their credit or their credit history, but they do have a job and they're able to pay each month. So not only are we doing a benefit for the community, but again, we're selling them that property as the bank
Mhm.
essentially, and we get paid each month. So it's a win-win situation. Um, why do you think most people aren't familiar with creative financing and subject to?
Well, that's not the natural thing, right? So people are used to just those particular, what is it, two ways: you either buy it cash or you go through the bank,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
if you're conditioned to think that kind of way your whole life, when something is introduced to you new, it's like, oh, this must be a scam, this must be fake. But you only have that mindset simply because you haven't been introduced to it before, you haven't heard of it. And when
Hmm.
something new comes to us because we haven't heard of it, we think it can't be true, because if that was true, everybody else would be doing it, right?
Yeah.
So that's the
Yeah.
mind frame, that's the mindset everyone is in. Oh, everybody will be doing it. But that's not
Hmm.
necessarily true. You know that you can make millions of dollars playing basketball, you can make millions of dollars playing
Good
baseball,
point.
and you can make millions of dollars being a software developer and all that kind of stuff. But
Hmm.
it's true, and people make that kind of money depending on what company you're working for, but people
Hmm.
make that kind of money. And it's just about folks not putting in that effort as far as to re-understand and go through the process to get to that level to make that kind of money, because it's out
Right.
there. As I just mentioned, you have
Hmm.
the sports, you know, if you study hard enough of how to do those basketball drills and those baseball drills, that you can perfect your craft and you can make those millions just like any other baseball player or basketball player or whatever, right? But you
Hmm.
haven't perfected that craft. You know, like to become a doctor, you're in school all of these years, you know
Hmm.
that you have to go to school, but it's just you don't want to perfect that craft. So when we put that information out there and people now know that
Hmm.
subject to out there, creative other ways to creative finance, you know that is there, but you don't put in that work to learn about this particular skill set to increase your finances, right? So
Hmm.
I think it's a thing of setting people are setting their ways, right? Do
Hmm.
you feel like you were setting your ways a long time before you got started, or did you just jump into it and just like, no, this is what I have to do?
I feel like I was set in I'm set in my ways, and I
Mhm.
was set in my ways in different areas of life, I would say, other
Okay,
than real estate, just because of my desperation for wanting to change my situation. The
gotcha.
the problem for me was I just didn't know about it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And
Right,
then when I did learn about it, it was hard to find the information on like where I could learn it at a level to be able to execute
right,
at that point. So it made me feel like some of this knowledge was suppressed.
uh-huh.
You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
It definitely was suppressed,
Mhm.
but you know, a lot of this, a lot of knowledge, just even outside of real estate, is suppressed simply because
Mhm.
giving, how can I put it? I don't want to say gatekeeping, but it is kind of like gatekeeping,
Mhm.
because if the masses know about a certain thing, it's just like, oh, everybody's going to try this, and then they're going to stop my flow, right?
Yep.
So it is a thing with gatekeeper people holding that information in that we didn't know. But now you have young entrepreneurs such as ourselves. We getting online and we telling everybody about it,
Yep.
right? When people are
Mhm.
introduced something, and you have that in the culture that's happening these days. People know something, they're online and they telling you about real estate. They telling you the different ways. The information is there. It
Yes.
depends on you if you want to get out there to actually put in the work to learn, understand. We giving you so much free information about how to do creative finance and about how to get in real estate. The information is out there. You just have to put
Mhm.
in the work to actually go through the steps to acquire your particular property.
And to circle back though to what you said about people being set in their ways. Now,
Mhm.
I personally wasn't as it pertains to real estate, but I know what you mean just because of other things that I'm set in my ways
Right,
in life, right? But I
right.
run into people all the time because I talk to a lot of people, about real estate, and they are set in their ways. And so it
Mhm.
makes it hard for their mind to be able to wrap around the concept of not having to go and qualify for debt and apply for credit to buy a house or need hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
And if you don't believe it,
Mhm.
then you definitely won't be able to do it because you'll always be kind of half in, half out because of
Right.
that skepticism. Uh, um, so what's a good tool or strategy to if I'm trying to break myself of being kind of stuck in the matrix of real estate, what would you suggest?
If you're stuck in the matrix of real estate, I think with anything, being stuck in the matrix, it's a you thing. You have
Mm,
to be able to just go forward. Like if you want to
mhm,
learn about real estate, you have to start getting online to learn about real estate. You have to start attending, looking at this free information. You have to start attending the free
mhm,
seminars. You have to, start with the free stuff to see where it goes.
mhm,
If you're not ready
mhm.
to invest your money in a particular way, don't invest your money right now because you have to be ready. However, when you're ready, you're ready because you'll start taking all the free stuff, right?
Right.
So you can get an
Mhm,
introduction. It's like a prereq. Like if you was in college or something, it's a prereq to the
mhm.
actual shebang, the actually real thing. So start taking
Yes.
that free information. If you on the fence and you just like, you know what, I could use an extra $500 a month. I'm not saying it's gonna happen overnight for you, but the
Mhm,
quicker you start, the quicker you're able to get your check.
mhm, mhm. My whole thing with it was if there's other people out here doing it,
Hmm.
that means that it is real, right?
Absolutely.
And yeah, and it can be done. I just don't know how to do it, so I need to figure out how they're doing it, right? Where
Yeah.
because it was hard to believe. I had struggled so much in real estate trying to get financing and stuff.
Mhm.
When I saw these strategies, it was hard to believe that it could be done. So it was hard for me to kind of believe, but I'm like, well, they're doing it. So
Yeah.
I just need to find out more. And starting with that free information is great advice and the best way to go. Because I say people should be judicious with their money and the
Mhm.
way they spend it, especially on education, if you're looking to invest in an asset, you
Right.
know. But it's hard to tell the real from the fake out here
Mhm.
these days. Yeah, so it's hard to tell.
Well,
So
I think also you have that discernment. Like for instance, Gene, you have a lot of free information out there for everybody, right?
mhm,
So it's
mhm.
also discernment. And people
Mhm.
are they're going with the people who they vibe with. Like you see somebody
Mhm.
online and you just like, okay, I've listened to them one time, I've listened to them two times, and whatever the case
Mhm.
is, it's just about vibing with that particular person. Can you relate to them, right? So
Mhm.
once you check them out and you try those one or two or three steps that they tried and it's working, and you just like, okay, maybe I can do this. Then
Mhm.
because those challenges are set online, right? I know
Mhm.
you've done some challenges. You set those challenges out. If people have done these
Mhm.
free challenges, if people have done
Mhm.
just the free stuff that's on there and it's work, that lets you know the person who you got that free information from, if they're
Mhm.
offering a course or classes or a product, start small and shop with them. That lets
Mhm.
you know as you continue to build up. That lets you know. If you go through a certain free process and it didn't work, a lot of that stuff are your indication, right? Those are your indicators, right? Those red
Mhm.
flags that come up, you will know. It's not a big secret. You will know.
Mm, mhm,
Yeah.
mhm, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, being on the internet, as I've been on there, I know that I'm not for everybody, and
Right.
everybody's not for me, right? And which is okay. But I would say, just like Vicky said, somebody you want to have a connection with that person or something in common, or have established some sort of rapport so that you're willing to continue learning from that particular person. But what I would say is get good at a strategy or
Mhm.
a teacher's strategy so that you can execute that rather than getting bits and pieces from everywhere, because then you're just creating a whole nother puzzle for yourself to put
Right.
together, and that kind of slows you down in my opinion. You know what I mean? So that's, and it's tough out there nowadays, with everybody that's out there with the internet, but that's how this information is out there, the way that it is because of the internet. So we got to take the good with the bad. Now you said the interest rates, the way that the interest rates are right now, earlier you had mentioned that. What do you see happening, in your opinion, with the interest rates? Are they going to stay high? Are they going to go down? Talk to me.
I believe they just dropped not too long ago, probably last week or something, like 0.25 a
Mm-hmm.
quarter.
Point two point two
Um,
five basis. Yep.
yeah, 0.25, right? So they
Mm-hmm.
dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and every little bit helps, right? So when you get that little bit, how are you going to leverage it? How are you going to move forward in your real estate business? Simply because the the information is here. So
Mm-hmm.
those points could go up, they could go down. But I also see it going down, right? Um, but then it's either one or the other. People gonna have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
money, and the interest rates how can I kind of put it? What is it? Demand and supply. So
Oh
that
yeah.
goes into that whole picture there, right? So right
Mm-hmm.
now in our economy, you have a lot of people losing their jobs. Yes, the interest rate
Yes.
has dropped down 0.25. However, people are losing their jobs. So are they thinking about going through traditional financing, right? But on the flip
Mm-hmm.
side, you have investors such as ourselves where we can say, oh, not taking advantage, but opportunity.
Opportunity. Yep.
Because
Mm-hmm.
these people are saying, hey, yeah, I can't afford this house anymore. If you look in DC, a lot of these houses are put up for sale now because of these government employees that have been let go. So,
Mm-hmm.
okay, great. This could be an opportunity if I wanted the DC area, right? So I'm gonna go out to
Mm-hmm.
DC. I'm gonna say these houses were, 1 million, 2 million, way out of my range. Now it's 700,000,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they're just trying to get rid of it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I want to be smart about it. Am I ready? Preparation is everything, of being ready for when the market is up and being ready for when the market is down. And you
Mm-hmm.
have to be able to prepare yourself. If you're not prepared, you can miss out on all of these great opportunities that are happening. So go ahead and get your study in now. Know what you want to do. There are different lanes in real estate. That's why it's important for all of you out there to take on this free information. Take on this free information, pick which
Mm-hmm.
lane you want to go to. And all you have to do
Mm-hmm.
is learn the foundation of, at least most of the foundation of the lane that interests you, right? And then you can just go strictly through that lane. Go straight through that
Mm-hmm.
lane, pick up all the information and become a master at it. But
Yep.
that's about you taking all on the free information. Simple as that.
Mhm. Mhm. That was great advice too, picking a lane and becoming good and a master at that lane,
Right.
because people want to deal with experts, they
Absolutely.
don't, yeah, they don't want to deal with a jack of all trades, because then you're a master of none.
Absolutely.
So, and there's plenty of money to be made in mastering, even I know people in the industry that are masters at lease options, and
Hmm.
that's all they
All they
do.
do.
But they,
Right.
yeah, but they have thousands of doors, single family homes, but
Yep.
thousands of them just based on lease options, right? But they're
Yep.
really, really good at that. And there is a need, a demand in the marketplace for that.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's great advice. So let me ask you real quick, because we're talking about all these
Mhm.
different, transactions and stuff like that. Um, what disposition strategy, would you say works best for, well, for you,
Mhm.
and then what is the difference with that disposition strategy versus, the others that are out there?
So the disposition strategy that works best for me is the lease option, rent to own,
Mm,
right? It
mhm,
works best for me. Now I don't mind doing the other ones, but that
mhm,
works best for me simply because of where everyone usually starts at as far as with their finance. I can get more people for the rent to own. So with the rent to own, I
mhm,
bring you in. I go through my process, my particular process, my particular requirements, right? I
mhm,
find out most people have that percentage that I'm looking for, which is
mhm,
the same as if you were to do FHA loans, that
mhm,
3.5%. You're going through the bank. They're going to want you to do the origination fee, the 3.5%, which is that down payment. They're going to want you to do all the closing costs and all the other stuff that comes along with that, right? So for my particular program, you just need to come in with that 3.5%, right? And that's a whole lot better than having a chunk of money going to the bank and having what they requested, right? So for my particular program, you would need to have that 3.5%, which is the rent to own. Again, I'm not against the other ones like owner finances, because I would love for you to have 10%. And if you have that 10%, I'll go ahead and take you, right? I'm not going to turn you down. I go ahead and take you if you got that 10% to put down on the house. So owner financing, I'll bring you on in. You got other options. You got lease options, owner finance, which is the agreement for deed. You have the you have wrap, which you can do just other things with it, that putting on the second mortgage. What am I missing here?
You pretty much set them with that lease option, the agreement for deed, and then
Subletting.
doing a route. Yep, subletting. Yep.
Subletting. So
Sandwich
there,
lease.
right. And again, in the subletting is just it's a sandwich. So think of it as an ice cream sandwich, right? So you got the top of the bread, which is the person who owns the house, and you got the bottom of the bread, which is you receiving the money because you put the ice cream in the middle, which is a tenant, and they paying you, and you turn around and paying the top of the bread. So when you think of the sandwich, that's how I look at it, the ice cream sandwich.
Yeah. And you're the ice cream's holding the other two pieces together. So you're the person that went and got the seller, found the house, and then you went and got the buyer. So you're in the middle. And so that subletting, that's a good point that you bring up, because a lot of people right now, well, I know that it's slowing down a little bit, but they're doing Airbnb arbitrage. Airbnb arbitrage. And for the viewers that may not know what that is they will go find properties that are for rent on Zillow or other websites, and they'll go to that landlord, they'll rent that property from that landlord, and then they'll turn around and put that property on Airbnb, and they'll Airbnb it, and that's kind of like a sandwich lease option. Now, where the problem lies with that is not everybody is being honest with that landlord that they rented it from. Right. They just go and rent and act like they're going to be the tenant, and then they go put it on Airbnb. And that's not ethical. It lacks integrity. So being educated enough to be able to recognize those types of situations is a plus. But I feel like the main thing to take from that is you always want to keep everything above board. Right. You want to tell the seller what's going on. You want to tell your buyer, what's going on. You don't have anything to hide from anybody. You don't want to be out here taking advantage of people, because we're finding people that are in need, whether it's a seller or the buyer. They both need something, and we're providing that solution. So you don't have to, pull any trickery or anything.
Let me ask you, have you ever had an Airbnb?
I have not personally had an Airbnb, but some of my students have had an Airbnb. Yeah, they bought subject to and then turned it into an Airbnb. They did pretty well on it.
I had a house that I did for Airbnb. Only did one.
One was
tried it out, and it's just that felt like a job. That felt like a job. So I'll me personally, it was a job for me, and I'll never do Airbnb again.
Why do you say that? Why do you say it felt like a job?
Well, it felt like a job because so this particular house was a 4-bedroom, right? This is how I figured I wanted to do it. I forgot what was going on, but I came into Atlanta, and I was staying in the city. This is before I purchased my primary home in Atlanta. So I came into Atlanta. I was visiting. I said, I want to stay directly in the city. I got stuff going on downtown. I ain't trying to, do all this other stuff. And I stayed in this Airbnb. This lady, she actually had the Airbnb as a church. And it was, and she left the sign out there and everything. And when I pulled up, I was like, this is interesting. And I was messaging the lady. I said, is this a church? She was like, yeah, you have to go through the back. And I was like, through the back. Now, it wasn't like the back part it sits on a corner. So it's open. It ain't like it was a hidden back, but it was still
Right.
like through the back.
Right.
So I'm paying attention to everything as far as how she's saying go through the back, how she operates. Very smart how she did it for that particular neighborhood. Anyway, I go through the back and I'm like, oh, this joint kind of nice. It got the camera set up and everything of that nature. You know, you got the master bedroom, of course, that costs more. So I stayed in one of the back bedrooms, and there was a bathroom in each room. So, and of course, the master, it was just bigger with more space. So you paying more money, and then you had a balcony at the top. I ain't need all that. I had so many errands. I was just laying my head down, boom, 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 and going. All right.
Right.
I get in there, and I'm like, man, this is nice. She had the snacks laid out. I said, this is nice. So my point of saying all this is what motivated me to go ahead and be like, oh, I should do an Airbnb. And I'm checking out. I'm sitting on the couch. By this time, I'm the only one in the house. Right? Nobody else has booked a room. Eventually, people started coming. So I'm like, this is nice. I didn't go upstairs to the master because that wasn't my domain. It was only one room upstairs, which was the master. And through the cameras, you can clearly see if somebody walking around, they ain't supposed to be there. So I'm like, man, this is nice, especially with every room with their own bathroom. Anyway, I go in there and I look at the kitchen. I was like, no, she got this whole setup just right. And her instructions were so perfect. I copied those instructions. I went ahead and put it down for my own stuff because then I started thinking, I said, just in case. And it was a perfect house to do separate room Airbnb. So I tried it in mine. And one of my properties. And it didn't hit the same. It didn't hit the same. It hit the same. And she makes great money. And she comes in and she cleans her own property. But she ain't going to tell you it's her.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a black woman. She gonna tell you it's her. She look regular, degular, schmegler. And she come in, she cleans, she changed out the towels. Everything was all white. I prefer a hotel. Well, let me tell you, if I had to choose an Airbnb, hers going to be the one I stay back at the Airbnb.
Right.
Which you get your own personal pen. So I said mine. I mimicked that exact model, but it was just the fact that getting certain type of people. Yes. And it was. I mean, I still got videos. You had drunks because I had cameras in the common areas.
In the common areas, yeah.
Right. You had the drunks come in. You had people sneaking in the third person. And I tracked everything. I want the people to look at the camera all the time. I don't care if I'm in the meeting. I'm just be logging into the camera. Especially when it's time for them to check in. I'd be like, all right, they told me 4 people. 1, 2, 3. I was one of them people, right?
Right.
I ain't got time to do this.
Right.
It was a job. And then checking in, hey, the person cleaning, hey, is this cleaned up? Can you check this? All right, somebody coming in at 12. This person canceled. Don't worry about going. It was too much checking. It's too much back and forth. So that was my reason. I was just like, yeah, this is a straight year. I'm out. I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah. And some people like doing that. And like you said, you weren't one of those people, right? You didn't want to, it seemed like a lot of busy work, essentially, but one of the smart things you did do was pretty much copy that system, and that's what creative intelligence is things that we've learned either book wise or from experience. And then we take that and implement that in our systems or in whatever our strategies are. Right. So that's something that we should do because we've seen that it works. But also on the flip side of that, you have those unknown variables, like you said, what type of people are they? You know what I mean? Are they bringing in extra people? I mean, it's just, a lot of different variables. I've heard a lot of different horror stories about Airbnbs. So that's not something that I would do, but I mean, with the right property, I might, I never want to totally X anything out besides borrowing money from the bank. That's what I won't do. But that's just me. So, but that's the thing about real estate too, is there's a lot of different ways to get money in the real estate industry, a lot of different ways. And so what are some of the considerations that you think about when acquiring a property? Because you said earlier that, we make our money on the acquisition. at the beginning of the front end of the deal. So what are some of the things that you take into consideration on that?
Well, I take in a lot of things. And I say a lot of things because it depends on where I'm at in my business, where I'm at in my life,
Mm,
right? So that's the
mhm,
first consideration, me. So
mhm, mhm,
after I consider me, I'm like, all right, I'm not a person who cares about the area as much, but because for me, there's always someone for a house, right?
mhm,
But I have a list of people who are looking for houses. So I make sure I have my person in place first, right?
mhm,
So I make
mhm,
sure since that person is in place that when I buy, I already got a
mhm.
house for them. So I don't have to advertise as much because it's like, I already know what they're looking for. So my consideration is me first, then do I have somebody to buy this house already? Right? That third
Right.
step is going to be uh is this a good price point? Right?
Mhm,
It's a good price
mhm,
point for what they're offering for this particular house. But I
mhm.
think it's also because the standard for people that are looking in the standard family house is 3 bedroom, 2 baths, right?
Yep. Mhm,
So if it has that 3 bedroom, 2 bath, I'm like, this is a standard house. This is
mhm.
somebody gonna want this because this is the
Right.
standard. It's not too big, it's not too small. It's like
Mhm.
it's just right. So I want to
Yep.
make sure it hits
Mhm.
those thresholds for the single family houses that people typically look for. So those are usually the starting points for me. Yeah. How about
Mhm.
you?
I like that you said that too, because most people are going to go in and say, well, the price, that's going to be the first thing. But yeah, I like what you said there. That the first thing you're looking at is your situation,
Mhm.
yourself, right? And that's super smart. When you think about it, I think some people probably do that just unconsciously,
Mhm.
or probably not consciously enough, depending on their success level, right?
Mhm.
But the first thing for me, the first thing for me when I'm looking at a property is the severity of their problem.
Mm.
I'm looking at the severity of their problem or the problem, the real
Mhm.
estate problem. And what I mean there, because sometimes people have marketing out there, so they'll attract people.
Right.
And I still want to look at the severity of the problem by asking questions and seeing what they have going on. Or
Absolutely.
yeah, if I'm targeting properties though, then I'm looking for certain problems. So foreclosures, probate, out of state owners, right? I'm targeting those problems. So the severity of the problem for me is gonna be my first indicator of if it's something that I want to go after, given my situation at the time. No, like you said,
Right.
right? Given my
Right.
situation, because in the beginning of my real estate career, I had to really go after severe problems because my situation wasn't the greatest financially to
Mhm.
be able to cover that. So I had to solve some big real estate problems to be able to get that acquisition and then make money on it, on the disposition of it. So it would
Gotcha.
be, yep, it's the problem, how big that problem is. And then the second thing is there underlying debt on that
Mm.
thing?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
once you get into it, then once you get the actual deal and looking at that
Hmm.
whole picture, oh yeah, definitely those are that's very accurate. You need to look at that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Yes.
I love a good subject to deal. You know what I mean? So yes, yes. So
Woo!
those are things. But I've been in real estate. The amount of time that I've been in real estate, I've run into situations that I thought were good, and
Mhm.
then through the life of that deal and the disposition of that deal, well, they turned out not to be so great.
Mm.
And that's because things do change along the way, and there's curveballs thrown at us. So I don't
So
feel like there's ever a word for word like script or a
mhm.
step by step process that you can follow to execute all the way through, just because there's so many twists and turns. So got to have
So
some knowledge.
give
Go
me an
ahead.
example of when you say, halfway through something didn't work out. Give me an example of what you personally think
So
when you
I've
could no
got a
longer hold it.
yeah, I've got a deal right now that I just looked at the emails today. We started the closing on this thing January 6th, and
Mhm.
it's now, February 18th, and we still haven't closed on it. And it's for a number of various different reasons.
Right.
But we thought coming in, it was a foreclosure. We were going to come in, be able to stop the auction, not have to pay the delinquent payments,
Mhm.
and it would be pretty easy. Well, that didn't turn out to be the case. It was a conventional loan. The bank didn't want to play ball, so we had
Ooh,
to do some other, strategies and maneuvers in order to not get foreclosed on.
right.
Then the house was in a decent neighborhood, a good neighborhood. It was in reasonable condition. The water had got cut off once the seller moved out. Well, the realtor went over there. They went over there for a showing. Water wasn't on. So she told us, we turned the water on. And as soon as they turned that water on, nobody was there. It ended up flooding the place.
Ah,
And that is a killer, boy. That really worked my
I've
nerves. Yeah. So, I
been
mean,
there.
yeah. So there's just things popping up. And then we ended up, right, we were going to sell it on like a lease option, seller financing of some sort.
Mhm.
And since it was a conventional mortgage, they didn't want to play ball. They were behind so much that we end up just having to sell it outright, either to, oh, damn, here I don't froze up again. Uh, uh, you're gonna have to take over real quick. I'll be right
Yeah.
back.
Sounds like some good old creative finance that happened there. I like that. Gene gonna come back with us. But any situation can happen at any moment. That's why you got to have these exit strategies, right? Having these exit strategies helps you down the line. And anytime you're purchasing a property, I always tell people have at least 3 exit strategies, because that's going to save you if one exit strategy didn't work. So, like Gene was saying, he's able to go through and maneuver depending on what the deal is. So those 3 exit strategies are very important. Go ahead. I'll let you
Mhm.
finish, Gene.
Yeah, no, yeah, I would say that's extremely important, because if we were in this situation where we didn't have more than one exit strategy on this, I don't know what the outcome would have been, but it wouldn't have been good. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And so we end up having to turn around and just sell this property outright,
Mm.
instead of doing a rent to own situation on it. Well, in selling it outright, the price had to be at a point where an investor probably wouldn't buy it because there's not enough room on there for them. So
Right,
we had
right.
to sell it to, a family or a person that wanted to live there. Well, they had financing. And
Mhm.
so now they have to go through underwriting with their lender. And that's a whole nother situation. I mean, we
Yep.
just been going through all types of stuff with that. I
Man.
just spent another $1,000 last weekend to paint the baseboards, clean the baseboards and paint over where
Mhm.
there was water damage from when the water got turned on and it flooded.
Yeah.
And so we were supposed to close on Friday, and that didn't happen. So we're waiting on one more document from the HOA. And
Mm.
we supposed to close, right?
Yeah.
So that was just one situation. So learning knowing these little things here and there are incredibly helpful and can
Right.
keep you
That's
in the
why it's
game.
also important. I mean, not you specifically, Gene, but other people, definitely got to have that coaching when you get into this business, and just knowing those little things, like having 3 exit strategies, and
Hmm.
knowing how to maneuver those 3 exit strategies, right? And
Hmm.
that extra coaching when you're moving forward in this field, having that
Hmm.
coaching is going to take you a long way, and it's going to help you prevent a lot of mistakes, because it sounds easy to say, "Oh, I'll just purchase a property and I'll just advertise it on Zillow or something and move a tenant in." Oh, it's some more pieces to that,
Hmm.
and it's
Absolutely.
not just like 5 pieces. It's layered depending
Yep.
on the situation. It can be
Hmm.
very layered. Even with a new build, I know people are just like, "Oh, I just renovate the whole house and we're gonna be good." Don't work
Mm.
like that all the time.
Right.
I'm not saying
Hmm.
you out there won't be that lucky person, but it just don't work like that all the time.
Yeah. I mean, there's exceptions, here and there, and
Mhm.
and yeah, everybody needs coaching. You know what I mean? I say everybody needs coaching. From the
Yeah.
the lowest levels of just beginning to even higher level. The highest levels,
Yep.
the highest levels of people. They either have mentors, or they're at a minimum in mastermind groups,
Yep.
right, where they're bouncing ideas off of other high level people, or getting people are taking a look at what they have going on, giving their opinions on that. So that's
Word.
something that everybody needs, no matter what level you're at. It's
Mhm.
the smart thing to do, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So Do you guys have any questions for Vicki and I this week? Now your boy it's raining out. I got a
Oh,
pickleball appointment to get to.
pickleball.
Yes, yes. I can't hoop no more. I'm old and gray now. I'm retired. Shoulder hurt, knee hurt. I got to go to the old people sport.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. At least you stay active though.
Yeah. Got to keep that blood flowing now at a minimum for
You better
sure.
believe
For
it. Yeah.
sure. Yes. Okay. So, do you have any words in closing for him, Vicki, before we get on up out of here?
I'm always telling y'all, get started. Get started. You know, I like to keep it simple. Just to tell y'all
Mhm.
those words, get started. You can still work your job. You know, I'm a firm believer. I'll never be the person to tell you to quit your job.
Mhm.
Work your job, but get started.
Yep, I love that. I mean, simple but high level advice,
Hmm.
essentially. Because if you don't
Yeah,
get started, then you're only entertaining yourself,
absolutely.
essentially, right? And for in that same speaking in that same vein,
Hmm.
if you are going to get started, right, you need to set your intention. What is your goal? For me, the equation is setting your intention,
Hmm.
right? And then ignoring distractions and continued learning, right? So ignoring distractions, you're ignoring things, whatever it is that's not pushing the needle closer to you getting to your goal. So maybe you're not watching Love and Hip Hop every week, or you're not watching Sunday football every Sunday now, because that's not helping you get to your goal. So you're ignoring distractions and putting your attention on things that are helping you get closer.
Right.
Continued learning is you're learning about whatever it is that you set your goal to. If it's real estate, if it's stock market, whatever it is, it's specific to that. And then as you learn continually, you'll gain confidence in your competence. And once you have that confidence in your competence, you can go out there, swing the bat, and hit a home run. So, Vicki, it was fun. To the
Yeah.
viewers, hit that like button if you feel like we brought you some value. I want you to go ahead and subscribe. And we love y'all and appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all. We'll see y'all next Tuesday. And y'all
Yep.
already know what it is. Till next time, let's get to it, y'all.
I'm a go getter. They some go